We're here to idea everyone, to fire up your curiosity and connect you with the people and ideas that shape our world. Watch, listen, understand, connect, create. Let's move the human story forward together.
Hello and welcome to The Poetry of Science, a podcast which provides insight into scientific research via the medium of poetry. I'm your host, Dr. Sam Illingworth, and each week I'll be introducing you to some of the latest scientific findings and sharing a selection of science-themed poetry. After all, we could all do with a little bit more poetry in our lives. In this episode, I'll be exploring new research which has looked at the long-term environmental impact of different methods to control Japanese knotweed. Heart-shaped claws reveal their care, gnarled fingers buried deep in soil and brick and clay. A ghostly forest, spreading shadows long across naive and native hosts, drawing blood from loam and stone. Tiny fragments spread their message thick and fast until a gentle soapy rain descends, unknotting weeds with glossy hands, a kinder poison for leaves we choose to pluck and grow. This poem is inspired by recent research published in Scientific Reports, which has found that the most sustainable approach to managing Japanese knotweed is the use of glyphosate-based foliar spray control methods, which directly target the leaves of the plant. Japanese knotweed is an invasive plant species native to East Asia that is spread throughout the world. It is known for its tall bamboo-like stems, heart-shaped leaves, and small white flowers. Despite its seemingly harmless appearance, Japanese knotweed is a notoriously destructive plant that can grow through concrete, brickwork and tarmac, causing damage to buildings and infrastructure. Its strong roots can also outcompete native plant species, causing harm to ecosystems and biodiversity. It is very difficult to eradicate, as even small fragments of the plant can regenerate into a full-grown plant. Its presence can also reduce the value of properties and cause legal issues for homeowners. This can cost over £165 million every year to manage in the UK alone, and as sustainability is becoming more important, it is vital to understand long-term environmental impact of different methods to control Japanese knotweed. In this new study, researchers looked at the entire life cycle and long-term impacts of different management approaches for dealing with Japanese knotweed. Using a life cycle assessment methodology, the researchers evaluated the environmental impacts of various chemical and physiochemical knotweed management methods, including the production of materials and herbicides required to achieve knotweed control. The study found that control methods that spray glyphosate, a broad-spectrum herbicide, directly onto the leaves of plants used the least materials, had the lowest environmental impacts, the lowest economic cost, and is therefore the most sustainable approach to tackle knotweed management. The results of this study further emphasise the importance of carefully considering both the risks and benefits of invasive plant management strategies. Now that you've heard the science, let me read the poem to you again. Heart-shaped claws reveal their care, gnarled fingers buried deep in soil and brick and clay, a ghostly forest spreading shadows long across naive and native hosts, drawing blood from loam and stone. Tiny fragments spread their message thick and fast until a gentle soapy rain descends, unknotting weeds with glossy hands, a kinder poison for leaves we choose to pluck and grow. In this section of the podcast, I'd like to share a poem written by another poet on a topic related to the science that has been discussed so far. In this episode, I'll be reading Autumn by Sidney Lee. Sidney Lee is an American poet, essayist and professor. Born in 1942 in Vermont, Lee attended Middlebury College and later received a PhD in English from Yale University. He has published numerous collections of poetry, including To the Bone, published in 1998, Pursuit of a Wound, published in 2000, and Here, published in 2019. Lee served as Vermont's Poet Laureate from 2011 to 2015 and has won many awards for his work, including the Vermont Governor's Award for Excellence in the Arts and a Guggenheim Fellowship. He currently teaches at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. Autumn, by Sidney Lee. Why not write something for those who scratched out improbable livings here? Someone has managed to sow this broken field with stones, it appears. So someone's scratching it still, although the Japanese knotweed has edged the tilth. 2 wasps in the child attempted to catch sun on a rail of the bridge. The old local doctor has passed at almost a full decade past 90. He never seemed depressed. 70 now, if barely. I consider the field again. Someone will drag these rocks away, but they'll be back. The air smells like rain, which is fine. The summer's been much too dry. Nothing is left of the barn, but some rusty steel straps in some nasty red osier. The stone fence still looks sound, but even there the knotweed steps over. Hadn't I pledged an elegy to the old ones who worked here? You couldn't claim they thrived exactly, but maybe they likewise scented good wind full of rain, lifted eyes above this old orchard to the cloud-darkened hills and found their support somehow, somewhere. No matter, they kept going until they could go no more. The trees' puckered apples have gathered a flock of birds, and as they alight, they're full of unseasonable chatter, as if to say that all will be right. The old ones I promised a poem must have said it too. It'll be all right. I never knew them. They're gone. I say it out loud. It'll be all right. Thank you for listening to the Poetry of Science.
Thank you very much for being with us for this episode of the ideaXme Show. ideaXme is a global platform. Our mission is to move the human story forward by sharing knowledge of the future. You can find us on all major audio networks at www.radioideaXme.com, on YouTube and Vimeo. Please subscribe.